In today's golf lesson video, we are talking driver distance secrets and how you can start hitting the longest golf drives of your life. I've traveled to meet long drive and ground reaction force specialist Steve Furlonger, and he is going to give us his top 3 golf training aids to increase your swing speeds. Before we get into the video and give you the secrets to hitting longer golf drives, if you're new to the channel, hello and welcome. If you're a returning viewer, hello again. A little reminder for you all, if you're enjoying the content, make sure you hit that big red subscribe button, hit the thumbs up as it helps the channel out, and turn your bell on so you get notified of when I upload all my new videos. Right, Steve. Thanks for having me.
No problem.
Ground force reaction specialist. You're going to teach us or show us some training aids today.
Yep.
That might help the average golfer increase their speed a little bit.
Okay. Yep.
Your top 3.
Top 3.
And you've got a secret.
Yeah, I've got millions of them. First of all, if you think that there's training aids galore, we've got everything you can think of in that bag there. That's my travel holder that I go and travel with.
You take that everywhere, do you?
I take that everywhere, and it's got everything in there. So yeah, that's it's been around. It's done a few miles.
How many bags do you take with you?
Well, the force plates have a case, and then that's in a case, and then I've got to take some clothes in another case. So yeah, I go heavy loaded.
Yeah.
But if we was to thin that down to my favourites, the top 3 for me.
Okay.
First one, really, obviously, from my specialisation would be ground reaction forces. So once we've measured them and I've got good data and I know how a player is moving in time, so their time-ins, and then the amounts of force that they create in the 3 directions that you need to create forces to help you move, I use force pedals. So these little sort of pedals or pads, so they're different consistencies. So some of these, this is a softer one. That's the harder one. Okay. And the profile of it, you've got a big one and a mini one.
Fine.
So that's the hard one, big and mini. That's the soft one, big and mini.
They're not doing anything size-wise differently. It's just literally less invasive under your foot.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing. Obviously, when you put a big lump underneath the foot, it does become quite intrusive, and the player then is kind of looking at it's like, oh, it's a bit quite high. My foot's quite high. Yeah. So then you start off with something that was quite big, and then you would drop it down to a smaller one. So then if I was to then position that, now the good thing about this and what I really like is that we can position that under the balls of the feet. Okay, and under the lead foot, which is really important. So we jump, the trampolines, I like to call them, the trampolines of the foot are the balls of the toes, the base of the toes, and that's where we create the most force from, and that's where we can propel the best from, or we propel the most from. So it's really important that you position that, and that would be, if I was to position it here, I'd place it kind of around the met heads of the toes, especially that sitting underneath, mainly underneath the ball of my big toe underneath my lead foot. Yeah. And I can feel that there, and I'd want to be squeezing that and really applying a ton of force early downswing to mid downswing, and it kind of gets at its maximum amount. I'll put the shaft in position where it would be. Around vertical with driver shaft position, that would be max force underneath that lead foot at that point. So I want to be giving that pedal a good squeeze into the ground.
What's the patterns that you see with people that aren't excelling in club head speed? So are they late or are they early with that?
They're going to be late, so the shaft will be down here somewhere when they're getting max force into the pedal. Yeah. And they're very slow at shifting their force from their back foot onto their front foot, really slow. So it all looks a little bit like this. They don't get across quick enough, and therefore they can't get across enough in magnitude and amount. Really, they don't get into that lead side and push into the balls of the toes into that lead foot enough.
I see that so often.
So late and slow. Yeah.
And I find that it's also related to like the face that they're presenting, generally open faces and stuff, to try and keep it somewhere on the planet.
It goes a bit like that. So, and we know that we want to see stronger faces. We want to see stronger lofts on the face. We don't certainly want to be adding loft. So they're quite weak with that anyway. Yeah. But they just, you know, from my perspective, and what I see is that pressure, the centre of pressure moving forwards, that pressure getting forwards is so slow. Yeah. The club starts to come down. It's all too late. And then when they do get max pressure underneath that lead foot, the club's down here. And there's no one on the planet that's going to get a reaction up through their body and energy, and I call it energy into the system, quick enough to actually change and influence impact. So then things look a bit prolonged and look very kind of contorted through the ball, which might work for some shots, but not from a speed perspective. Because when we want to get max speed into the head at impact, we want the hands to be, once they reach peak speed, which is roughly, it's not exactly, but it's around the time that their peak vertical force underneath the left foot, the hands are at peak speed. And then the hands are going to slow down as much as like 30, I've seen 40%. The hands slow down because the handle's kind of getting twisted and rotated to make the head speed up. So everyone's kind of thinking, most people think they've got to get the handle fast through impact. Well, if you're actually going to hit it with the head, not the handle, we actually want to slow the handle down and make the head speed up. Okay? To make the head speed up, we need ground reaction forces and extra energy up through that lead side, which is going to get the lead hip to rise. And also it's going to get the pelvis to rise. So it tends to then allow the golfer, it will aid the golfer's ability to bend the hand path, rotate the grip, and speed up the head. So the hands are kind of moving up, in and around to then get the end to speed up and not overlag it.
Of these little things.
And they're made, the people behind this are behind the Smart to Move system, the force plate system. So you've got brains behind it that have created ground reaction force measuring systems. So, you know, they know their stuff. They know their onions, and they've created certainly what I think one of my most used training aid.
Speed stick. Which one is it?
So
trick number 2.
We're going to get rid of this. And we're going to replace this with this. And we're going to use this 2 or 3 times per week, importantly with some break in between. So when we're doing speed training, we don't want to underestimate the power of resting the system, the central nervous system. So speed can be done alternative days. Okay, so we're going to alternate days. So if we did a speed day, 10 minutes, 15 minutes is good, no more than that. I'd start with 10. That's a lot for most people starting their speed journey. And speed has to be trained responsibly. So I'm staying in the responsible category here. So making sure that we do it the right amount. You and I with our big big muscle, we think we can do more, but we can't, especially if we're not trained for speed. So we need to take time to build speed up. So let's say 10 minutes on a Monday, the next session could be then on a Wednesday or Thursday. Don't do 10 minutes on the Tuesday. Let the body, you can do anything else golf, but don't try and force the body and overwork the body. Because when you do speed, make sure it is speed. And you're going as fast as possible. So you should be 10 minutes all out, maximum intent. Don't half-heart it. Give it everything. And you'll be sweating in that 10 minutes. You'll be sweating in that 10 minutes. It's amazing how much and quick you get into that, isn't it? Absolutely. So Ripstick is my favorite product for speed training. Why is it your favorite? So I love it for many reasons. Firstly, we start off with the head end of it. So there's weight bullets that go in. There's 3 bullets that go into it. So effectively it gives you 4 options of weight at the head end. So we've obviously got something with 0 weight, so very light. So this will move a lot faster than the normal club. Then we start adding these bullets to make it heavier. So we've got 1, 2, 3 bullets. So effectively got 4 weights to add to the end. The design of the end also gives a whistling tone. So we're trying to get that loud whistle fast and also the whistle where the point of impact would be. So making sure that we get speed into the end at the ball and not cast out that speed too early. So we got these resistance weights, which simply just unscrews there. You slide this in and then that is we got easy. 1 weight. Really simple. And it whistles away to give you those auditory keys and tones. So then when we move up to, so this is driver length, when we move up to the butt end of the club, what's very unique is a counterweight in the end, which I really like. So this is now going to make the butt end heavier than normal. So from a force perspective, it's really important that we understand that we need to create force in the handle. We've got muscular force moving our limbs. We've got ground reaction force as energy into the system. But we need to apply force to the handle. Yeah. So when we start to weight this handle, we're going to need to apply more force to move it. Ooh. Okay. Yeah. So that's really, really crucial. So these kind of counterweights are really important. So I could go really light this end, but still keep that heavier end than normal to put some resistance in the butt end where I'm applying forces to the grip. Okay. So we kind of got many different, this has got so many different key features to it. And that's the reason why it's my number 2. And it's then a speed training aid, which if we do it responsibly and we can sustain it, we can use this training aid for weeks and months to help us build our speed up.
Number 3. What's that?
The PRGR radar, swing radar. So this measures speed of objects that pass over it. It's around 200 pounds.
What, not like $6,000 like all the rest?
It's a fraction of what a launch monitor that measures club head speed. But what I like about this, it measures objects that move over it. Perfect. So it can measure an object going over it backwards. So backswing speed.
Oh, yeah.
Downswing speed, objects passing over it. It also can measure your arm speed. Not a lot of people know that one.
I didn't know that one.
Put that down, your arms pass over, you can measure your arm speed. So arm speed coming down. So it's got many uses, ways that we actually discovered. Lee Cox is one of my best friends and arguably the speed guru on the planet, right, with so many long drive champions. And we do a lot of work together, Lee and I. And it was when we were doing some videos using this product, we realized it was measuring our arms. So and it kept beeping. It was like, what's going on? So it's a genius device for not a lot of money. Yeah. So when you pair that with the ripstick, yeah, you've got to measure your speeds, right? How do you know whether you're going faster or slower? So during your speed training, you're measuring it with your ripstick. You've got your force pedals measuring it. They're helping you apply ground reaction force at the right time. Yeah. But then we've got our data to work on, and whether we're then, how that weighted object that we're using, the ripstick there, how it's influencing our speeds. But tracking speed is very, very important. We've got to know how fast we're going.
Quick question.
Yes.
Backswing speed.
Yep.
Quicker you go back, quicker you're going to go through?
Generally, yes. So the fastest players on the planet have the fastest backswings. If we were to take the long drivers, there are outliers to it. Yeah. Yeah, there are always outliers. We can't change that. So yes, those are the ones we separate from the normal human beings, the outliers, right? But generally, we want to be swinging it faster on the way back. That will mean then we've got to apply force to the handle to make it slow down, change direction, and then that acceleration we can apply and get the hands to peak speed at the right time. Yeah. So sometimes those slow ones create these acceleration profiles that we can't really get the speed at the right time. So I'd be using that and tracking mainly downswing speed, but if you started to look at backswing speed, you want to be then trying to get your backswing a little bit quicker, and that will aid to you then changing the length of your backswing will change, because when it's faster, you're going to go further back generally, not always, but generally. But like I say, from a handle force perspective, we've got to apply more forces to the handle over a longer period of time. That's called impulse. It's basically force over time. We're applying forces to the handle for a longer period of time if that's moving quicker.
So I can see why you have picked these 3, because they kind of all intertwine, don't they? You're going to start off here by checking that you're pushing in the ground properly.
Pushing the ground properly.
You're going to check that you are doing training properly.
Resistance training, timing the speeds of it, working on the handle forces, and then importantly,
then you've got something to measure.
Yeah, and this basically it goes down about 3 foot back from the golf ball. Yeah. Pop it on, and it just runs, and it runs on some AA batteries. It's just a really and it fits in the skyrocket, right? So it's in there, it goes in the bag. You've got your ripstick as a training product, but also as a warm-up product. If you did half a dozen of lightweight with those before your first tee shot, you're going to warm up nicely. But more importantly, what you do is you're activating, you're almost stimulating the muscles and stimulating the fire in the system at a quicker speed because it's lighter. So that quicker speed then is achieved on the golf course. You do half a dozen of those and hit your first tee shot, you're going to hit a faster tee shot than normal.
And that speed is so quick at picking up, isn't it? You do 10 of them, 5 of them, you'll be quicker. It's crazy.
Absolutely. And the point being, on the lightest weight, it's lighter than your normal driver.
Yeah.
So you are going to swing it faster. So you pick your driver, oh, this is really heavy. But all of a sudden we've activated, and the brain then all of a sudden is, you know, such a powerful engine, right? That if you train speed and the brain gets used to it and then can start to self-organize, we're going to then apply it and get used to delivering the club at faster speeds. So.
And we've got a secret.
Top secret.
Oh.
Okay. So speed training.
Yeah.
Making sure that it's sustainable speed training. So I've touched on that in those training aids when I mentioned that we need to make sure that we're training at the right intervals, so the frequency is correct. So we need to be, I'd no more than 3 sessions a week if you're not playing like an important round of golf.
Yeah.
So if you're at home sleeping in your bed, you know, you're not traveled abroad, because I'm sure that we've got elite players that are traveling and playing elite competition, right? So they're away from their own bed. But if you're at home sleeping in your own bed, you're resting well, you're not got an important match coming up, you could do as many as 3 sessions per week, but there must be a day off in between to rest.
Cool.
We don't want to be going more than about 15 minutes. I see obviously the professionals of speed doing 20 minutes, but they started at 10, built up to 15, up to then 20.
What increment would you then build it up? So you say start at 10.
Start at 10, I'd go 3 or 4 weeks of that.
3 or 4 weeks. Okay.
Yeah, no more than 4. Then week 5, you could go up then another 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we'd go 3 or 4, week 8, week 9,
yeah.
and then we'd push up to sort of 12 weeks. And a speed program needs to be a minimum of 9 and should really be about 12 weeks.
Okay.
So then importantly, what we can do is that we can build club head speed, and we need to build an amount that's sustainable. Okay, so if we said 2 miles per hour, 3 miles an hour was manageable and sustainable, that you could hold it, that once you can hold your club head speed for a period of time, the human brain can self-organize to therefore then get speed to deliver the face and get centered contact. And also face to path, start to manage the face to path for the shape. So you're giving the human brain the same speed to self-organize delivery and impact.
Right.
Now I see people gain 5 or 6, can't sustain it, can't hold it for long enough. Speed's doing this through the session. Yeah. So now the brain's trying to organize 5 more, 2 more, 3 more, 1 more. It's like, oh, that's a bit cool. That's a bit slower. How do you get sweet spot contact if the speed is changing all the time? So do bite-size amounts.
I like that.
Bite-size amounts, manageable over the right frequency, and I would alternate speed in the club. So if we did 2 weeks at most speed in the club, getting the speed up and holding it, then we would do speed into the ball. So then we'd focus with that new speed getting centered contact.
Right.
So we do club speed, ball speed. Then increase the club speed, hold it, ball speed. Because club speed is only important when we get ball speed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're not seeing that ball go down there. We're only seeing this thing moving faster, and we see it going there. So bite-size, sustainable, manageable amounts, then get it into the
I like
ball.
that, because so many people think speed and they go fastest. How fast can I go? How fast can I go?
Jumping around, and we've got millions of videos to it, and I get it, right? And we want to go faster. We just can't hold it. We physically can't hold it. And also, when I train speed, I'm very responsible, and I want people that are watching this video to be responsible. If you go too fast, you're going to break yourself. You are going to create injury because you're overloading and overworking the body.
It's a journey.
Over time, that journey for sure.
Very good. Secret is out.